Dimension Styles, Lines tab. So here's our Lines tab. I'm going to cancel. And if I go and I close, if I go up into my Dimensions panel in the Annotate panel, I hit the down arrow to Dimension Style. I go to Modify. My first tab is the Lines tab. We have various sections here. We have the first section is Dimension Lines. Our dimension line is the horizontal part of the dimension. It parallels the item that we are dimensioning. So here the dimension line is this long line here. It parallels the object. So we can pick the color. Typically we like to go with by layer. We can set it to an absolute color or by block, but by letter is the best choice. That means whatever layer we put it on, like dimension or dims, it will take on the properties of that layer. Also, line type. I can choose it by block or by layer or an absolute value. I don't recommend the absolute values. I like by block and by layer. Again, I like by layer. We'll put it on the layer properties and have the layer properties controlled. Same thing with line weight. We'll control the line weight of our dimension line by the layer properties. Extend past ticks. This is only active if we're using an architectural tick instead of an arrowhead. So we'll get to that over in line symbols and arrows and what type we choose there. But if we pick an architectural tick, then we can have the line that extends past the extension line, how far that extends. Baseline spacing is for our dim baseline command. When we use a baseline command or we use baseline dimensioning, this is the distance in between the second and third dimensions. We can suppress a dimension line. These are for very rare occasions. You can see that in this case here, my first dimension line is suppressed. I turn that back on. I suppress my second dimension line and see the other one suppresses. These are very rarely used. Let's go down to our extension lines. Our extension lines show the extents of what is being measured. These are these vertical lines here. We can set the color of these. Typically I like by layer. You may use by block, but the absolute colors are not recommended. The line type, I want to use the line type by layer. I could use by block. I do not recommend any absolute line type. Same thing with the second line type, the extension line number 2. The line weight I recommend by layer. You could also go by block. That's okay as well. Now I can suppress my extension line. You can see my extension line suppressed here. I'll turn it back on. I can suppress my second extension line. You can see it's suppressed over here. These are very rare cases when we need to suppress an extension line. Extend beyond dimension lines. This is for my extension lines. This is how far up here, the little extension that goes past the dimension lines, how far it sticks up past the dimension lines. We'd like to set that to a particular value. The ASME standard recommends 1.25, which is very common in use in architecture as well. The offset from the origin. The offset from the origin, the standard uses, say, a visible gap. So we just want this little visible gap between the object and the origin of the extension line. But nowadays, ASME recommends 0.063 or 0.0625 if you're going to 4 decimals. We could also set the length of the extension lines to be fixed. They're always going to be the same length, and we can tell the length of whatever it is. This is kind of a rare case scenario in which we're pretty standardized in our things. So this is the lines tab for our dimension style. I typically would have a dimension style for an architectural and for an architectural, so we do it by what we use it for. And so right now I have mechanical inch is what I'm setting this up for. And so therefore I don't have the extend past the ticks. So this is the lines tab of a new dimension style.